Hello, Internet! It is January 13th, 2026. This is the Park Bench. My name is C. Parks. And Golden Rose K is missing. They are currently basking in, and I'm sure, plenty of sun and alcohol in Hawaii. They're gone for 6 weeks. Yep. I hope you're having fun, Kay. So I'm by myself this week. Maybe some other weeks. Maybe not some other weeks. We'll see how things go. What that means, typically if it's a solo show, it's going to be shorter. So with the time that I'm not doing like the show with Kay, maybe it's an hour instead of 2 to 3. I'll probably use it maybe to like update stuff. Whether it just be stuff on the back end that I see and nobody else does, or I don't know, just changes and upgrades to the stream and show and presentation or whatever. Or I'm going to start taking some like courses to help get me a new job. So I might just do that instead, which that seems smarter, but we'll see where my attention lies. Anyways, played some video games this week. Played some Bazaar that has like completely re-ingrained itself into the weekly rotation for my wife and I. I played a little bit of Ball Pit. Started that up. And I just played it briefly, but I get it. That game's cool. And it's very like, it's just very easy to just hop in, go, hop out. And I loved that about it. So I might play more of that here and there. What else have I played? Hasn't been any Peak or Fortnite for me really, which were in the rotation. Yeah, it's just kind of been the Bazaar or nothing. But that's going to change. Especially like I said before, my resolution is to play more games. So work is winding down, where it's going to start getting slower, which means I won't be as tired every single day. And I'll feel better about putting time into things when I wake up earlier. And then hopefully I get a new job that's just like a better schedule altogether. But if I do that, this show might change its day/time that it happens. Because ideally, I'd probably be like Monday through Friday. Like 8 to 5, 9 to 5 kind of thing. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Today's topics. We're finally starting to get some news again. Steam Machine price leaked. Seems like we might be sad about that. The New Game Plus showcase happened. I'm gonna go through that briefly and then just kind of like watch a couple trailers for some new stuff, because that showcase was a lot of games that we've talked about on this show. So it was kind of hard to like find stuff that I was like exciting and interested about that we haven't already like covered and talked about here. And then some quick topics. I'm just going to go through some headlines quickly, some brief like quick hits, and then we'll get out of here. Do the game duel. Yeah, finish it up. So first up, the Steam Machine price leak. Does this work? Yep, there we go. That's the wrong tab. So this is from Tom's Guide, which is the link I pulled this from Google. Steam Machine pricing may have just leaked by retailer, and it's not cheap. It's true. The machine will not be friendly to your wallet. Ugh. So, where is it? There's two prices, it seems. They explored the site source code and discovered prices for both the 512 and 2 terabyte versions of the hybrid PC console. They've discovered unlisted prices of about $950 and $1,070. Which, two things here. It's expensive as heck. First of all, $1,000 for a 512 gigabyte Steam machine. The other thing I noticed right away is the price is only $120 difference for essentially an extra terabyte and a half. Which is surprising to me. I feel like usually you see a much bigger like difference in price when you go up in like base like hard drive space. But then looking at this and thinking about it, I'm like, that's probably about right actually. Like if you were just to buy if you were just to buy a hard drive, like hard drives have come down in price greatly for that much. So could be okay. Anyway, this is all new pricing that was grabbed from the website for the Czech retailer Smarty. Reportedly an authorized seller of Valve devices in Europe. So it looks potentially legit. And with what we've been hearing prior to this, sounds legit. When the Steam Machine first was announced, whoa, aloha from the beach, K. They're here. They made it. Too bad the subscriber thing didn't pop up on this screen because I have a different one for solo. Anyway, yeah, when the Steam Machine was first announced, people were speculating like, oh man, this is crazy if it is priced competitively to consoles. Like if this is somewhere, $500, $600 range, this is changing the landscape of like gaming hardware. Even up to like $800, I saw people being like, that's the cap, which is very expensive. But also everything's expensive now because of government. So $1,000, essentially $950 for not the low end, but like the smaller hard drive is expensive. However, it does mention in here, they do know that Smarty apparently had 70% markup on products it sells, meaning the price could be closer to $814 and $960 for the 2 terabyte versions. So that gets us like closer to the top end of what, some people were willing to buy. We'll talk about pricing later. How things get priced and like how that affects people's mindsets. But $800 is $800, right? Yeah, but when it's bundled with exclusive Half-Life 3, it's true. It's true. It won't happen. It's not true. There's no such thing as Half-Life 3. But yeah, $800. If that like that's $800. When you see $900, that's $1,000. So 800 is like much more reasonable than 900. Because again, 900 is just $1,000. If it was lower than that, if it was $700 or 600, 600 is I think that the price you hit where you're now directly in competition with consoles, right? You know, it says here for comparison with even with price hikes PS5 Pro and Xbox Series X, most expensive variants are still under $800. The cheapest version of the PS5 and the Xbox Series with 1 terabyte hard drives are $500 and $650. Those are the cheapest versions. Those are the ones where that's the majority of gamers. The majority of console gamers have the cheapest versions of those consoles. And that's the thing with the Steam Machine and its pricing is when you get to $800, you price yourself out of like the general population of gamers, of console gamers. You're now in the like premier gamer range. You're in the range of people where like the general population will still know about you, but you'll be too expensive for them. And it'll just be for the premier population of gamers. When you go above that, when you go close to 1,000, now you're just in like specialty gamer range, right? Those are just the people who are like, they're gonna get it no matter what kind of deal. Like, there wasn't a price that mattered to them anymore. They were gonna grab it anyway. And if you look at, I guess, the price of this compared to the Steam Machine, not the Steam Machine, I'm sorry, the Steam Deck. 800 seems plausible between like the handheld versus the console, you know? Just thinking it from like traditional sense of video game generations that we used to have. It doesn't seem crazy. 500 for a handheld sounds crazy, but just like the price difference, 500 to 800 is just like, okay, I kind of understand if this is 500, this being 800, like I get it. It's still too expensive for me, but I get it. It would be much nicer if they could have like a 600 and then the 800 or plus or whatever, but we don't know yet. We still don't know what exactly the price will be. This is all just speculation based off of numbers grabbed from, you know, inside a website's coding, basically. And in the past, that's been true. In the past, it's also just been place markers. It's just been like companies guessing or speculating, or just like, we just need to throw a price in here. So who knows? Some extra like fallout of this pricing, if this is true, if we're closer to like $800 to $1,000, is, like I said, you kind of price yourself out of like the general population of console gamers. You also kind of price yourself out of another market that I was interested in, because I know they were very excited for a potential like $500 to $600 machine, was like competitive gaming. The fighting game community, like specifically. Most fighting games that are like running like major tournaments are held on are available across all consoles. There's no like exclusives. With the exception of Super Smash Brothers. But like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Guilty Gear, Melty Blood, like everything is just like on everything. And so what this theoretically could have done is been one machine for everything. Because right now, a lot of stuff is either just like on a PS5, or there are some that are just like indie ones where it's like just on PC. And this little machine, this little box here, could have been like as close to like a catch-all machine for gaming tournaments, fighting game community, even probably FPS games, you know. I don't know how many FPS in-person things there are that aren't just like run by like the company that made the game themselves, I guess, now that I think about it. But like the grassroots stuff, which is mostly the fighting game community, like this could have been something where it's just like you get this and you're set for like however many years. You don't need to worry about extra hardware. You know, you run an event, you just need the Steam machines. You don't need some computers, some PS5s, some Xboxes. It would all just been on this, which would have made like event hosting much easier. I might bring this up when I get him on the show, but thank you, Domo. Is probably going to be on the show, hopefully, sometime in these next 6 weeks. I was hoping to get him on today, but they produce gaming tournaments. And there was a new local series in, I think it's Orlando. It's in Florida. For Super Smash Brothers. A weekly tournament every Monday at this place called Arcade Time. Like sponsored by big Smash content creator and player, Hungrybox. And it's $1,000 weekly, which is like an insane thing to hear. It's beautiful to hear like a weekly event of $1,000, because that's like, you can it's just something great to tune into every Monday, where you'll have solid competition competing for like real cash. And that's awesome. And Thank You Domo is on the production team for that. It's his company that is producing it. And the first event was like almost 200 entrants, and the event ran until like 4 a.m. their time. So Domo's not here today, and I completely understand. I was looking at the tournament, and it was like, I think it was like 2 a.m. their time, because it was around 11 something our time, and it was like top 16. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is a very long event, and maybe that event should think about hosting it like even just an hour earlier. I don't think they'll get 200 entrants every time. They deserve it, because it's a lot of money every week. But yeah, I would love to hear some insight from Domo on like how this machine could have affected this scene, because while Domo doesn't necessarily like host the events, they're not like an organizer, they are part of like production. So, and he's just around it all the time, so I'm sure he has some insight on that. But yeah, $1,000 would suck. 800 would be cool. I still don't think I get it at 800. Just because like I have this computer, which has been fine for me. Um 500, then I'm like, oh my god. I guess that's the thing with the Steam machine, right? Is like I have this computer already, and it's perfectly fine for what I need it to be. Like if I need any upgrades at all, it's just internet. It's not the machine. Um, and I have a Steam Deck, which has been again perfectly fine for what I need it to be. I can hook it up on that TV behind me there. That's actually it on the table in front of the TV. Um, I can bring it around the house, or if I'm traveling, I can bring it with me, and I play enough. I play enough games where like I can find something to play on the handheld device that isn't like crazy strong or like too taxing on the machine or whatever. But yeah, so I don't know if the Steam machine is like good for me right now anyways. But just for like I said, like it would have helped change like the landscape of like console hardware basically if this was priced more competitively with traditional console hardware. And we'll see what happens when, you know, they officially announce this pricing and whatnot. Um, let's go on. Let's go on to the next topic, which was the New Game Plus showcase. Um, this was a new showcase. You can see here 40 games were showcased here. The event was hosted by various creators, such as Luke Stevens, Luality, Jake Lucky, I Am Rob, Blue Thunder, and Hunter. And I think it was like 3 or 4 hours long. It's a very long showcase. Um, a lot of these games, like I said, have been talked about on this show. Um, so I won't go too much into these. Maybe I will. I don't know. We'll see how I feel as I'm going through it. But there's a lot of like developer interviews in this showcase. Um, like a lot of this is showing gameplay, showing a trailer, and edited clips of like some of these like creators that hosted this, talking to the creators of the games. Which was cool. You see that like it's interesting, which is probably why it was like 4 hours long. But like you see that in showcases already, but it's like reserved for like very special games is typically when you see like these like gameplay deep dives with developer interviews. Usually that's like, yeah, here and there. This was like the whole thing is like this. Yeah, like let's just click this. This is, yeah, 3 hours and 54 minutes was this stream. Big stream. All games shown. Let's see. So first we've got Deep Dish Dungeon. I don't think I've talked about this on the show. I almost did. I almost had this as a topic one week. I just didn't quite know enough about it. But it's basically a dungeon crawler, cooperative, where it's, from my understanding at least, it is not procedurally generated. It's like everything is, I guess the way people are saying it is like handcrafted. Yes, it's this guided, I don't know how to explain it, experience for co-op or single player of just like diving deeper into a dungeon with, as you can see, this like retro aesthetic, which is like is big right now. Is big right now. This like PS1 era like closing in on PS2, like big polygons and like pixels is in right now. But it looks neat. Looks all right. Blood of Dawnwalker, that's one we've talked about before. Vampire game, you know. Uh, um, so you can check out some new footage from this game. We did like a review of like an in-depth look at this game like months ago. Um where they first went in and talked about the mechanics of the game, and they really first showed off like the UI, talked about all the like the missions that you have, the different ways you can go about the world, the different way you can go about each mission, um and then ended on like a sort of boss thing. But you can see more about this game. um I think it's gonna be a good game. um it seems Oh, actually, that's right. And this is also one of those games where it's like, I believe it's similar to like the comparison I think we made before was Breath of the Wild, where like the end is there for you like very early on. You can go to the end of the game very, very early on. Um, but you know, the different decisions you make around going to the end of the game, and the more you do, will help, obviously shape the world, but just like probably make that ending easier because you're gonna level up and whatnot. Um, but stuff like that creates cool, like, if this grabbed onto like a speedrunning community, um, then it'd be one of those things where it's like the end is in reach. What's the optimal route to take before you go to the end to make the ending achievable? But yeah, I think that'll be a big game this year. Blood of Dawnwalker. Blind Descent. I wish these were auto muted. You don't hear them, but I do. New Martian underground adventure with Blind Descent, an open world survival craft game that unveils the mysteries of the Martian depths. Survival crafting game. You've seen them. It's a new setting for one of those in a alien like cavernous world. Yeah. Prologue, go way back. This one's interesting. This is from Brendan Green. I think it said it there. Hold on. From Brendan Green. Well, let me see if I can get it. He is, bam, CCO, Player Unknown Productions. Um, Player Unknown's Battlegrounds, right? This is Player Unknown. Themselves. So when you talk about Player Unknown's Battlegrounds, that's the guy. That's Player Unknown. And this is the beginning of his new game. Prologue, go way back. It is a survival game again. With procedurally generated maps of a specific size. He says it's 8x8, whatever that means. I don't know how big one unit is, but it's 8x8. And they can generate an infinite amount of maps. And yeah, you can see there's custom game settings. There's also, they talk about different seeds. So like somebody can like either randomly generate or like influence a map and then share that same map with anyone else. And while it's not multiplayer, you can't go into these maps together. You can still create sort of, challenges with you and your friends where you can have a map and then share it, and whoever beats it faster, or, you know, like, because that's, for instance, Peak. Peak is a game that every day there's a new randomly generated mountain. However, the speedrunning community has latched onto one specific seed for speedrunning. If you're speedrunning a game, you play this map, and everybody is just trying to master that one map, cut as much time off of it as they can. And that's something you can kind of do with this, basically, is like, if you're doing some sort of speedrun or some sort of challenge, you can have a map that everyone can play, even though it's all randomly generated stuff. And he talks about in here, there's different sort of like modes that you can do in this, and it sounds very unfinished. Like, if it almost sounds like a tech demo in a way that is like grown past a tech demo. You can play it where it has an objective to like, escape, I think, basically. There's cabins and objectives around the map that it wants you to hit while surviving. And then there's another mode where it's just survive as long as you can, see how long you can survive in this world before you just like perish. But one of the things that I think is very interesting about PlayerUnknown making a survival game like this is that's kind of like the beginning of a lot of these like battle royale games, like PUBG. Is they all spawned off of like mods for survival, like DayZ. DayZ was like a survival mod from Arma. Arma itself might even be survival. I don't even know what Arma is at this point. But yeah, a lot of these like battle royale games spawned from survival games. Even like you look at Minecraft. Minecraft had like its Hunger Games, which is just a battle royale, Minecraft is a survival game. It all comes full circle, where it's just like survival games happened, and then we made them a battle royale, and now the guy, PlayerUnknown, is going back and making a survival game. It's just funny. Beautiful Light. This one's, I like, if this is a trend of extraction shooters that we're in right now, I like that this is a thing. I don't know what's going to take off ever. I can't imagine this becomes like big. I hope it finds its player base though, it's basically, it's a PvP. I think they actually, hold on, I want to look at because I think the people in this article put an extra P in there. PvP, VPVE. Why are there 3 Ps? Why are we person versus person versus person? It's just PvP. VE. So, environmental, just like we'll say Arc Raiders or Hunt Showdown. 6 squads of 3, tasked with entering, securing, and extracting an artifact in a hostile, horrific environment. So yeah, I will make this comparison directly with Hunt Showdown. Hunt Showdown is, I don't know how many squads, but you can go in solo or I think duos, maybe trios, where you load into the map yourself or your team, and there's other teams are on the outskirts of the map, and everybody is slowly making their way to find essentially a boss. You kill the boss, you extract its like essence, and then you take that essence and extract from the map, and then you win and you get the most resources out of it. You don't have to go kill the boss. You can just do other objectives around the map. You can kill other NPCs or like, AI enemies and extract what other resources you get from that. But this game is like that, but horror themed. And so that's where, like, I hope it finds its community in that sense, because Hunt Showdown is like a little, it's basically horror. Like, it's zombies and like giant spider monsters and like pig face butcher kind of stuff, Um and it definitely has its scene. Post Malone is it. That's the scene. Um but I don't know if that game's like lost steam or how its player base is doing. I don't hear much about that game. Um it almost feels like it was like ahead of its time. One of those things where like it was an extraction shooter, but it was like, I don't think it ever called itself an extraction shooter. And then the genre took off afterwards with like Escape from Tarkov blowing up. And now Arc Raiders and Marathon coming out. So we have these extraction shooters, PvE. However, they're very, they're very military sci-fi, where this is more military horror. Escape from Tarkov is just straight up like military. Arc Raiders has like a sci-fi aspect to it, and then Marathon is like super sci-fi. But now this one is more on the horror side of things, the darker, like, again, closer to Hunt Showdown. Shadow Glass, stealth focused immersive sim set within a dark fantasy world. Plan daring heists, infiltrate forbidden locales, and escape with priceless artifacts. Features revolutionary 3D pixel art graphics and lasting consequences where every action could leave a trail back to you. This game looks great. I love the way it looks. We talked earlier on, I think, was it the first thing we showed? Deep Dish Dungeon. Talked about its aesthetic, right? It's like low polygonal with like pixel texture packs, right? On top of it. That being like a big aesthetic right now. This game is like further than that. This game is like if you, it's a 3D game, 3D environments, I guess, like you're walking around a 3D world. But it's all like pixels, so it's it's still a 3D world. Like, you're still walking in 3D space. But it has taken the low polygonal aspect to like a whole new level, where it's aiming to just only look like pixels. It's not trying to look quite low poly. It's trying to look like, what if a pixel game was in 3D? You can see that it's 3D objects. It's not like it's pixels that are moving in a way to make it look like it's a 3D world. Like, not everything's like flat. Like, this is a object made in like Blender, right? But it's a cool look. Like I said, it pushes that like low poly aesthetic like further towards like the pixel textures. It sounds neat. And like, yeah, this is, you can see it's very early prototype. I could see this being like a friend of the show Dinnermancer or K type game. I'm gonna start kind of blasting through some of these now because there's 40. Aphelion, hunted on a frozen planet, astronaut Ariane must brave rugged landscapes and shifting realities to rescue her wounded partner Thomas. This action-packed sci-fi adventure blends exploration, traversal, intense stealth gameplay. The Expanse, I think that's that show. Third-person action RPG set in, the Expanse universe. Distant Shore, explore the ruins of a former research site devastated by climate collapse. Avowed. We know that game. Getting some DLC. Let's see. Navigate a land of turmoil, living lands, and I think it's DLC. Yeah, so we've got new Avowed stuff coming out. There's a couple of these where it's just kind of like content updates. So we've got Avowed. Here's the other one, Grounded 2. Same dev, by the way. Get out of here, robot. Thanks, Sari. Grounded 2 is getting its first big content update. With new bugs inside a new area. Grounded 2 takes place. So Grounded 1 took place inside of like the backyard, basically. Grounded was in the backyard. Grounded 2 is in a park. And so, whoa. What the heck? That's me. I'm game director? I'm game director? Oh, can I do something real quick? Can I do something? Oh, I just do. Like it's me. That's me. Chris Parker. Huh. Who would have thought? Anyways, yeah, so it's getting an update. It takes place in a park instead of the backyard like the first one. And this update is basically a new section of the park. Where you'll find, like I said, like new enemies, which brings in new gear for you to get, new armor sets, new weapons, mounts, enemy types, the full feature of things that you get in the base game, you're getting new stuff for. Let me just crazy. That's me. So yeah. I played a little bit of Grounded, the first Grounded, when it was like early access, and I had a lot of fun. I would definitely play some Grounded 2 for sure. One thing that I can note is like Grounded 2 is still early in its life cycle, and it's also, I think, considered early access right now. But the content available in this game is leaps and bounds ahead of what was available at this point in the first game. A lot more to do. And you can play this co-op. I think this, I don't know, there's something like fun and novel about like running around the world as little people with like these giant, or to you, they're giant bugs. It does look good. It's a pretty game. It's got new updates coming out now, a new part of the park. Hopefully, they keep their momentum going with this game. It seems like something they just love to do. Why would they make a second one of these if they weren't like so heavily invested? Like, I think they talked about in the first game, they ran out of space. They wanted to keep doing more and more and more, but they weren't able to with the game setting in just a backyard, which is why they were like, well, we have to make a new game will up its graphics a little bit, retool some of the mechanics that we couldn't do in the first game, and then put it in a park. So we have a much larger space to work with. And yeah, look, they're so cute. Like a Satisfactory that have a better interaction, like Satisfactory the game. Satisfactory, I'm not. I mean, this is more like, or yeah, I don't know. If you're talking about the Satisfactory the game, this is definitely more survivally than like the engine building of Satisfactory, from my understanding. Um, you build, craft, evolve. Yeah, okay, true. Um, but yeah, they've just like super improved, like the graphics, the enemy types that you have, a lot of new experiences. Like in the first game, in early access at least, like the way you approached enemies, no matter what it was all very similar. And then it's just if you came across a spider, you were terrified. Um this now is just like, oh, there's a little more nuance to the interactions you get. Um but yeah, anyway, they're getting an update now. Grounded 2. That was part of the New Game Plus showcase. Um Outworld 2, challenging action RPG, Forsaken Realms, action RPG. There's a theme of action RPGs in the world right now. Dragon Twin, they showed this off. This game is like super early in development. Like you can see, Dragon Riding game in early development. This also almost looks like a tech test. Like I said that about like the prologue way back game, the game from like the PlayerUnknown guy. Like his game almost looked like it was a tech demo that they gamified. This is also, at this point that they're showing it off, kind of just looks like a tech demo that they're trying to figure out the game around. It just kind of looks like at this point people wanted to make a dragon riding game, and so they set out and they made what looks to be like a very nice looking dragon. Good flight, good animations, everything looks nice with the dragon. Um but they like, yeah, early access demo is available to Patreon supporters. I've been on stream all day to try and ban a game that I find so offensive I can't believe Steam let it be a part of the sale pitch. Yeah, banning games on Steam is a weird topic. It's hard to figure out what they ban and don't ban. Yeah, this game it will evolve into a game eventually. Next release will focus on extensive dragon creator. Also very cool. Again, oh yeah, that is terrible. They made a game about ice. You get bonus gear on how many you detain in port. Yeah, that's gross. That's a fucked up. That's disgusting. Uh yeah, I agree. That's, man, people are so shitty. God, who makes up a game like that? Anyway, sorry, sidetracked. Eventually Dragon Twin's going to become a game, but they got to figure out what they actually want the game part to be. There's the Cube, which has like 2 different games coming out. There's the Cube, the MMO RPG. And then they have like some other like more cooperative game coming out that like also takes place on the Cube or something. I don't know. Immortal Gates of Pyre, RTS game. I already play Avatar. I fly a dragon owl. Yeah, see, that's the thing also is like, how is Dragon Twin? That's what I mean by like they got to figure out the game part of it. They have the dragon, and you can fly around in the dragon. They have a demo for Patreon supporters. We can fly around on a dragon. What are they going to do with the actual game itself? Like, what's the loop? Like, there's a part where they show just like, you know, an army of people that you just kind of like light on fire. And again, it looks very tech demo-y. What's the point of it? There's no cities. Like, I don't know. Let me be Smog and just like destroy towns and the Fellowship, or like what's like Bilbo. Um, yeah, this is a new RTS game. Immortal Gates of Pyre. Uh, man, I would love an RTS game to pop off again. It's just not happening. You had Stormgate, which looked super promising, and it's like all but died. And like just looking at the gameplay of this, it very much looks like that classic RTS, you know, StarCraft type experience that people are constantly trying to replicate and just not like hitting the player bases. Anyone who's playing StarCraft just keeps playing StarCraft. It was a clickbait like most games last year, Stormgate. It's unfortunate. There's another one coming out too. I don't remember the name of it. But it's created by, or not created by, but it has StarCraft or ex-StarCraft pros helping with it. Whether it be just like in like a, you know, test role, they're just testing the game, or I know they're giving their feedback, obviously, but ex players like Cats and Scarlet, I know are helping with it. Not this game, whatever the other game is, I can't remember. And it again, it looks neat. It's just it's a genre that it, you know, it's similar to MOBAs, right? It's hard to make a MOBA and take people away from League of Legends or Dota, because you have to be better than those games that have been out for years and years and years with constant updates. And like how can you come in and offer more than those? You have to do something different. And it's the same with this. It does, like, what is this offering different from StarCraft Brood War or StarCraft 2 that is going to pull people from those games? It is hard to make a game that look like a clone of games that have a steady follower base. Exactly. Like, it's too hard to go in and say, I love StarCraft. I want to make the next StarCraft. Because all those people who also love StarCraft are just going to stick to StarCraft. Like, it's been too many times where I've seen people make a very promising game and the player base go, hey, that looks cool. I love StarCraft, but I have problems with StarCraft. I'm going to check out their game. And they check it out and you're like, yeah, that's neat. And then you boot up StarCraft again, right? Or Counter-Strike or League of Legends. As a gamer, I'm set in my ways. It's kind of what it is. It's just like, here's the game that I found in this genre that I like, and I'm going to play it for years. And someone's going to come along and try to duplicate it, and we're just not going to move. And like, the biggest, like, I want to say like hope that people have to look at now is with Marvel Rivals, where Marvel Rivals was coming out And people were like, it's just Overwatch. Same situation with Overwatch, where people who play Overwatch were like, I love Overwatch, but I have problems with Overwatch. So I'm going to try this other game, Marvel Rivals. But Marvel Rivals has staying power. They've succeeded. And I want to say one of the biggest differences that Marvel Rivals has over other games that are trying to be like clones or like influenced in those genres is Marvel and Marvel money. They have the cast of characters that people already know and love. And if you love Overwatch, but you also love Marvel, you're gonna be like, oh well, I just really love Scarlet Witch, and I can play as Scarlet Witch in this game that is like basically Marvel. I mean, that is basically Overwatch. Like, yeah, I'll play that. I try to avoid games that breed salty people. If I need salty, I call my mother-in-law. Yeah, I love competitive games. I'm not as good at them anymore as I used to be. But I tend to just I've learned to just focus on either like myself or my friends while playing and just like have fun with them. And then if I find a group to be competitive with, then it's fun. Um, but yeah, it's not. I'm not playing games to get salty anymore. um, so yeah, but yeah, Marvel Rivals is like an interesting exception right now to this like we're making your game, but uh, you know, better. Whereas like these games that are making RTS games, they don't have the Marvel IP like Marvel Rivals has for like the Overwatch space. If there was an RTS that was going to come out with like I don't think anyone has that IP character pull for an RTS game. There was Halo Wars, where that is a franchise that had a lot of pull in Halo, and they did okay. I liked those games, but they were never replacing anything in the RTS scene. Um, I mean, Halo Wars 1 was also like console exclusive. So like it had that going for it where it was like we're a console RTS and if you do that well, that's great. Um but is it a new Halo coming out? No, Halo Wars is an older game. There's two of them, Halo Wars and Halo Wars 2. They were RTS games. They were, StarCraft, but Halo on consoles. And like they're fine. They're solid. Um Again, the thing that they did different was they were available on console and they had like decent console controls for an RTS. Decent. Um but I don't, there's Warhammer. Um but that Warhammer games are like a dime a dozen now. Like there's a million Warhammer games, and like they hand out their IP to anyone to make games, and so like it doesn't feel like exciting to see a new Warhammer thing. Um and I don't know what other IPs like an RTS genre could pull from and be like, you love us, our gameplay is good, but also you love this IP. Like I don't know what that is right now. Uh X Killer retrofuturistic Western game. Um First person action RPG, we've seen a million of these. Uh Cyberpunk but Western. That's kind of what this is trying to be, at least. Looks fine. Far Far West looks interesting. Uh It's a co-op game, 4 players. Not an extraction shooter. PvE. I guess I'd consider it closer to like almost like a Helldivers is kind of how I would describe what this game is. Um, you have your home base, like in Helldivers, you have your spaceship that you start in, where you select your missions and your upgrades, your equipment and whatnot. Here, you start in this town. You take a contract, and you get on this like future space train that brings you to the map. It drops you in, and then there's hordes of enemies that you're running around, killing, trying to get to a location. Like in this mission, you get to a location, you do the objective, which is to launch a rocket ship. When you launch the rocket ship, it unearths the boss, and you go, you travel to the boss, you kill it, you get its resources, its, level up equipment, or I said experience. You get experience from it, you get like new equipment or whatever. You leave, you go back to your town, and you choose a new mission. It's like the gameplay loop of this game looks very similar to Helldivers. It's very silly. It's very fast. And similar to Helldivers, it's not trying to be serious. It's just trying to be a fun game. So I think this looks neat. I this game's success is very dependent, I think, on its price point. But yeah, any game that can sort of like Helldivers has a good loop. Like the setting that Helldivers is in, its tone, its writing is all like very well and unique, and that's what makes it like as good as it is. But it also just has a good gameplay loop. And this game is like sort of replicating that type of gameplay loop in a different setting. Still very fast, very snappy, like Helldivers is. So I don't know, it looks good. Again, every mission is like broken up into different segments. It looks cool. It looks cool. I think this game almost looks like Helldivers Light. Like if you wanted to get into Helldivers but never did because it looked too intimidating, maybe this looks less intimidating. Playtest live now on Steam. So that looks cool. Erosion. I've talked about this before here. I don't know what there's like nothing new to talk about this game. We've seen it multiple times. The graphics are unique. It's voxel based. You die, time moves 10 years in advance. Everyone gets older but you. It seems neat. I'm excited to see that game and how it works. The Division 2 Survivors. It's weird in 2026 and seeing people talk about the Division 2. You'd think it was time for the Division 3. But no. The Division 2 Survivors. It's just, join an elite group of civilian agents in this action-packed RPG shooter, engage in intense tactical combat, team up with your friends, and survive a dynamic open world to save Washington, D.C. too. Yeah, I don't know. Division 2 stuff. It's wild. I play Division 2, dear God, I hope they don't make Division 3. If I'm being honest, I hope they just make new games and iterate on their formula. Alpha Response, creator of the original Counter-Strike mod. Intense police action in dynamic real-world environments. Fight solo or with friends against diverse enemies in high-stakes missions that demand fast reflexes, teamwork, and split decision making. I'm not really in the mood to play a game where I play as a police officer. Last Man Sitting. What is it? It's a roguelite arena shooter where you sit in. It's like office chairs, roguelike. It's just silly. I don't know. It's just a silly game. Um, not quite Vampire Survivors like, where it's the auto shooter or whatever, but it has that same sort of like upgrade system, as you can kind of see, where like you play, you get kills, you pick up your experience, and then let's see where it shows it. It's a very quick trailer. It shows it soon. You get your upgrades. What, you don't want to play a cop that hunt other humans down? Nope, I don't. I don't want to. Don't need it. Not in today's world. All set. There was also there's that other game about it's the other end of the spectrum basically. There's an anti-ice game out there too that's, I don't want to say gotten popular, but like it's made some headlines. Sand Raiders. This is a game that I've seen for a few years now. As a Norwegian, I'm happy I am born where I am born. Yeah, that's it's so crazy. Because like I'm an American. I'm in war-torn Portland, Oregon, as it was called. And it's like it just speaks to how crazy it is that like I'm an American on the internet right now, and somebody from Norway is chiming in and being like, "Hey, this ice shit is fucked up." It's just like that's how big and like just terrible this shit is here. So yeah, that's great. That's wild. It is like the Twilight Zone. Like we we live in a world that like should not exist anywhere outside of like media. Like our reality is uh what movies like warn against. Like movies are like almost like hyperbolic with like how crazy and intense they are about like how bad the future could be, and it's just this right now. It's just America in 2026. What was that game? Sand Raiders of Sophie. I've seen this game for a while now, and at first it looked really cool to me. I love Sea of Thieves, so that idea of like being on a boat, and going head to head, naval combat, and then like hopping onto the enemy boat and raiding them and dealing damage that way is really cool and fun. And it's what originally drew me to like being interested in this game, Sand Raiders of Sophie. You can customize your Sandwalker, which is also really cool. There's something missing from this. Like I said, I've seen this for like a year plus now, and like it just, there's something about it that's not getting better. Like there I first saw it and I had this idea in my head of the game. And like this art looks great, but in game, like the fidelity and graphics just hasn't changed at all. Like it's not improving. Uh so I'm skeptical about this game, Sand. Cuz it's just yeah, the quality just like isn't ramping like I thought it would like a year plus ago when I first saw it. Darklight Survivor. Let's see what else they showed. Tape 101, which is a psychological horror descending through liminal spaces. Nested Lands, Ruthless Medieval RPG, Warhammer 40k Heresy. It's a CRPG. Again, a backroom game? Yeah, basically. Again, Warhammer, the IP no longer excites me. Because there's just constantly somebody making something for Warhammer in the Warhammer world, and a lot of times it's just like undercooked. Um, so it's hard for me to see a new game for Warhammer and be excited. I don't know what they need to do to entice me, but um, I've seen enough Warhammer like CRPGs and whatnot. Ruined that. um, so yeah, not interested. Towerborn. This game's been in like early access. I think it just came out of early access. Um, it always looked nice. It's a looter brawler. Um, RPG loot progression and then this customization. The the thing in my mind with this game is it's overshadowed by the game Absalom, which is another like roguelike brawler. Um, and like this looks beautiful, and hopefully, maybe Absalom came out and it was on a lot of people's like top 10 game of the year lists. And maybe the popularity of that can help with like the popularity of this because it looks pretty, and you know people have been playing this for a while in its early access stage. But now that it's like fully out and Absalom got a good amount of like talk in game of the year stuff, uh maybe people jump from Absalom to Towerborn. Uh or maybe they're just like too burnt out on the side-scrolling brawler. Um but like for this type of game, it looks good. It looks nice. Uh Sprint City. Uh it's not the same company, but it is the creators of the game called Speedrunners. Um from the creators of Speedrunners. See, it's a different company. Um but it looks very much like Speedrunners. It's essentially a competitive racing platformer. Uh, take a Mario or Sonic and make it a racing game. A classic 2D Mario, classic 2D Sonic, and you make it a racing game where, like, we'll play it again. 2D platformer, running, jumping, swinging, climbing, grinding. Emergency broadcast from the White House. I don't. Oh God. Online multiplayer world. This game, it's fully customizable characters and whatnot. Um, it has lobbies that you can set up for you and your friends or whoever else to race in on a variety of maps. It also just has an open world aspect to it, which is interesting. Like just a giant 2D open world platformer where you'll run around and see other people in it. Like real people. It's like you get put into instances with others. Well, I it seems neat. It seems like, speedrunners and Sprint City is unbelievable. This is the proof the human race been waiting for. Um, yeah, this game, you know, big, unbelievable. He is real. um, I'm losing train of thought. This world is crazy. Um, I know. Just joking. But yeah, the lobby system in this and the competitive aspect is kind of like the meat and potatoes. But then they've added this like open world hook. I think to just keep people in the game longer, which is something that it's important for games to do. Like, it's what was supposed to happen with Mario Kart World. Uh, like the meat and potatoes of Mario Kart World is the Grand Prix and like the online races. And the idea they had was like, how do we keep people playing the game longer rather than just doing a couple races and hopping off? They're like, we'll do this open world aspect of it. It's open and casual. You're still playing the game. You can do fun little challenges around the place. I think that's what this is in Sprint City. It has its like lobbies for racing, and then it's open world where you'll see other people. You'll see other people, but you can just like dick around and do challenges, and I'm assuming you'll be on the maps in the lobby system, so you can probably practice. It is the time we live in. Yeah, we hear emergence broadcast and we think, oh no, what's the moron done now? Yeah, what's the moron done now? What's the moron gonna say? Mm-hmm. Densha attack. My normal co-host here, Golden Rose K, has talked about this game a number of times. It just looks ridiculous. It just looks like ridiculous fun where you are a train that is just doing tricks. It's very fast paced, trick system, goofy, Japanese uh nonsense, basically. Um it looks great. Kay's talked about it a number of times before, so I don't need to go into it too much here, but that game looks silly and fun. Uh Where Winds Meet, don't care. Eternal Life of Goldman. We've talked about this before here on this stream, Kay and I. Um Once the quality kicks up, it's still kind of low. Not playback speed. What am I doing? Um this game's beautiful, and I'm very excited for this game. Uh there's a number of like hand drawn aesthetic games that have been coming out over the years now. Basically since Cuphead. Cuphead sort of like super popularized the hand drawn aesthetic. And then Hollow Knight came and added to that, you know. Um but yeah, this game looks gorgeous. A lot of them just don't seem as detailed or as fluid as this is. But yeah, the number of like animations and just how pretty. There's like an old timey like filter on it. Uh, that's a game I'm like very excited about this year. That was part of this broadcast. Core Keeper, getting some more stuff. I've never played Core Keeper, but people love this game. I hear a lot of great things about Core Keeper. Um, it looks like a game I'd be into. I've just, you know, time is an issue. There's a lot of video games and a lot of just like work. Um, but Core Keeper seems like a really cool cooperative game. That's done very well for itself. Shadows of the Road. This is turn-based RPG in feudal Japan meets Magic and Machine. It's yeah, I don't know. We've looks all right. I've run out of steam on this show. And then yeah, Dino Blade. Again, I've talked about Dino Blade before. I went into like a little history of Dino Blade on the show like a couple weeks ago. Um, it's starting to look better. The UI is improving. Um, the gameplay itself has kind of looked like it's been there the whole time. It's just like, yeah, the AI, or not the AI, the UI is starting to come together, and then the environments are starting to look better. They could still get better. We can still add more detail to these environments. But Dinosaur Souls just seems badass. My only fear for this game is the novelty of being a dinosaur wielding a sword and fighting other big dinosaurs wielding swords falls off. Because that's the big catch with this is just like the dinosaurs holding this sword in his mouth. If that like idea wears off and the gameplay itself isn't good enough, that's just where I'm worried for this game. That like people might play this game for like an hour or two and be like, okay, well, it was fun seeing the dinosaurs do flips and spin around and hit each other with swords. And then there are some instances where the dinosaur grabs another dinosaur and uses that as a weapon. Seeing all that, that's worn off now. The gameplay itself is kind of boring or something like that. Like I'm scared for that to happen with this game. And yeah, that's it. That's it. That's the New Game Plus showcase. And so like the next topic and final topic I'm going to go into is quick topics. Just some stuff real quickly that's happened this week that I want to go into. First up, Highguard. Where the hell is it? What is going on with Highguard? This game was announced 4 weeks ago at the Game Awards. In my opinion, Dinosaur Souls is very fun. I gotta play the demo. It's looking better and better. In my opinion, Highguard, when they announced it, looked fine. The timing was off. Being the one last thing was not the place for this to be. And because of that, it received like a lot of negative like feedback from the community. If this just takes place anywhere else in the show, I don't know if people are going crazy for Highguard, but the response isn't negative like it was. But they announced it 4 weeks ago and we're like, we're coming out in 6 weeks. And that's been it. We're less than 2 weeks away from this game. And the only thing we've seen or heard is the original announcement trailer. No extra news from the developers coming out talking about the game. Nobody's explaining what it is. Because when you watch the reveal trailer, they kind of talk about different concepts in the game and show you doing different things. But they don't actually explain the gameplay to the point where there's like Reddit posts of people trying to dissect what the game mode actually is and how you actually play the game. Just realized how bad that typo I posted was. Listen, it was adorable. Dibosaur souls. There's no trailer. There's one trailer. It's only the announced trailer. Only the 2 minutes and 34 seconds that they showed at the Game Awards. And yeah, it's out in less than 2 weeks. But they've left everyone wanting more information. And I can't tell if that is a good strategy or not. Because seemingly right now it looks bad. They got negative feedback for being the one last thing at the Game Awards. And then went silent. And now the people who are talking about Highguard are talking about it because it went silent. Which also sounds negative. Is this a single player PvE game or a multiplayer game? So, from what we can tell, it is a multiplayer game that maybe takes place in different phases where you fight for control of the map and try to get some sort of artifact to then engage in this like siege mode. So some people are thinking it's potentially like a PvP MOBA. Deadlock is already the shooter MOBA that Valve is working on. And when you look at, I mean, people are playing Deadlock. So like, obviously we have way more information of it, but looking at Deadlock, you see very clear signs of it being a MOBA. It has lanes. It has creep. It has towers and it has bases, right? Classic MOBA standards. This game doesn't, or this trailer doesn't show that. We don't know if there are creeps. We don't know how many teams there are, how many players are on a team. We don't know what any of the objectives are. We just see in different shots, you know, different biomes. Is this a different map or just a different part of the map? We don't know. Some storm ability going on over here. There are mounts. Different types of mounts. That's a horse, that's a bear, that's a panther. Um, the map looks huge. And then yeah, there's this siege point where you take this giant battering ram machine to break the shield on this base and then storm the base. And this is kind of the point where people are like, ah, yes, that's like the MOBA, where like, in a MOBA, the objectives are break the towers so your lane can push into their base, right? In this, people are speculating that the objectives are more, do these things around the map, and then you'll be able to get into the base. There's a big sword that you get. There's some sort of almost like keyhole that you put the sword into and turn. There's a lot going on. Like Domos, you said it. Sounds like a lot. They show a lot and explain nothing, and they haven't. And this game is out in 2 weeks. So I plan to play it. And this is to circle back on this game plan of them not saying anything and like the negative response has me like interested to play on day one, because now I'm like, I gotta see what this is. It sounds like a mess, so I gotta jump in and see what this is. My brain would think that after the response from the Game Awards, they would have been more active because they would have been confident in their game and their design to be able to be like, here it is. Here's what we've been doing, and we're confident that people will like it. But maybe their mindset is, we don't need to show people, we just need them to play it. Play the game, figure it out yourself. I don't know if that's good or bad. It didn't sound great, but we'll see in 2 weeks. In 12 days. If we don't hear anything else, whatever. Here's another quick little topic. The Witcher 3 is potentially getting DLC. You can see here, Witcher 3 Wild Hunt originally saw release all the way back in May of 2015. And then a port on the Switch in 2019. So this game is coming up on 11 years old. It has a sequel announced. The Witcher 4 has been announced for months. I think it got announced during Summer Games Fest. So, I'll say 6 months. We've known about The Witcher 4. Witcher 3 has been out for 11 years, but it's apparently getting DLC. Nothing officially announced. Just essentially rumors and speculation. From multiple sources, given our current progress, there's a chance that new content hinted upon in release calls and reports may see release in the coming year, having an impact on the results and increasing the likelihood of achieving the earnings condition for the first stage of the incentive program. I don't have a whole lot to say about this other than like, that's crazy. Witcher 3 is one of like the most highly regarded video games. And so like it's received DLC, and I understand it getting DLC. But it's been so long, not just since like the game released, obviously, but it's been so long since we've seen anything from Witcher 3 and there's a sequel announced. And in some cases, I understand an old game getting DLC while there's a new game coming out. But typically, they're different games within the same like IP. This is straight up just like, we have a sequel coming out that's been announced, but we're still getting DLC for the old game so much later. This would be like if, you know, Gen 10 of Pokemon, they announced Generation 10, show gameplay footage, we see the starters, right? And then 6 months later, they're like, also, new DLC for Sword and Shield. Like, that's what this is similar to, like, in my head. It's just, I don't hate it. Okay, wait. To add even more, Witcher 3, Witcher 4, but also in between there, Cyberpunk. So, like, not only have they announced a sequel to Witcher 3, they released a whole different giant game that has also gotten a multitude of updates and DLC patches. Where do they have how big is this team that they can work on Cyberpunk, release Cyberpunk, start working on The Witcher 4, and still make DLC for The Witcher 3. It's wild. Have at it. Peak. We all know I love Peak. I thought this was interesting. I talked about pricing earlier in the show with the Steam Machine and how Domo, I'd love to play Peak with you sometime. I'd love to play Peak with you and Lucid, because I know Lucid has it. But earlier in the show, I talked about the Steam Machine and its potential price leaks. And the leak showed the Steam Machine at like $950. But the leak from the website is also a website that boosts its pricing. I think they said like 17%. So like the actual price without that 17% is closer to like $800. And I said, in people's minds, when you're comparing prices, you look at $800, and that's $800. When you look at $900, that's basically just $1,000. You're spending $1,000 on it. That was like the price planning that they went in with Peak. And they talk about it here. Where's the quote? We had this joke of like, how much is a game really? In a player's mind, what does it mean to spend $5? Well, that's $5. But $6? Well, that's still $5. $4 is also kind of $5. $3 is $2, and $2 is basically free. So we've got these tiers. You know, $12, that's $10. But $13 is $15. And we found that $8 is still $5. It doesn't become $10. $7.99, that's $5, right? So $8 is going to be $5, is the biggest differential we could find in pricing. So we found it very optimal. Does that make sense? It makes sense to me. It makes so much sense to me. That their idea of pricing was like, what's what's the biggest differential in actual price to what gamers view the price as? Like what bucket they put the price into. And they found if $5 and $10 were two different buckets of pricing in players' minds, $8 fell into the $5 bucket. So they could 70 is 500. So they could charge basically, yeah, an $80 game is basically like a $200 game. Yeah, so they found that like that was the biggest difference they could do. It's a $3 difference between what the game price is versus the bucket that gamers' minds put it into. It's $8, but it's basically just $5. And that's funny, but I think it happens more. Like I think this like theory is like done way more, and just these guys are like one of the first people to just like put it like this, to like explain it in this way. But yeah, to circle back around to the Steam Machine pricing, you know, if it's $800, like you can view it as like $800. It's not quite $600. It's more expensive than $600. But $900 is just $1,000. When you're spending $900 on it, you're spending $1,000. Whereas like when you're spending $800, it's not quite $1,000. So like if the Steam Machine, circle back to this, can get down to $800, it's out of range of the general consumer, of the general gaming console community. But it isn't $1,000, which pushes you out of the range of like the high-end console gamer, the same people who are into like the PS5 Pro, right? It keeps you in that gamer range rather than pushing yourself strictly into like PC gamers, basically. Like $1,000 in my mind isn't converting a console gamer into a PC player. It's just PC players getting a new piece of hardware. And that would be unfortunate, but we'll see. And lastly, Rivals of Aether 2. Big news today, announced today. They have launched the Steam Workshop for Rivals of Aether 2 in beta today. So Rivals of Aether, the first game, the Steam Workshop was a massive part of that game in growing its community and keeping casual players interested and not just grinding pro, ladders, basically. That's huge for the game. It is huge for the game. So now, Rivals of Aether, it had its like Steam Workshop community tournaments and whatnot, where I saw characters like Jerma. I think there was like a washer machine or like a briefcase or something. 100% accurate Fox. uh it it just makes such a goofy, fun, like casual experience, as well as content. It allows new types of content to be put out for Rivals 2 that will reach a new audience. My nephew is 10 years old, and he visited recently. He's always been a Smash Ultimate. We've played Smash Ultimate before, but he left here and was suddenly like very, very interested in Super Smash Bros. Melee. Somehow I got him like super hype and addicted to Melee. So he left, went home. I got him set up with Slippy. And so he plays Melee online. Plays Slippy, loves it. He loves the core game. He loves the things that people love about Melee. He's starting to grasp onto at 10 years old, with just like the small bits of improvement that you can get, the combos, the like satisfying dunks that you can get with like Falco and stuff like that. The movement, the tech, he's latching onto a lot of that. But and he enters tournaments. He enters online tournaments like almost every Monday. He had a series that he was entering and playing in. And it was awesome. He would win. He wasn't going 0-2, which was nice. He had taste of some victory, and even when he was losing in this tournament, it was close. But what I saw is, and what he told me was basically that like he would take breaks from it because he could feel like that grind sort of getting to him, where, you know, progress is kind of slowed down a little bit in an improvement, and he's got like very specific things to work on that are like incrementally getting better. And it sounded like he just found himself like in this grind mode, basically, in like the training mode, in these tournaments on Slippy, just trying to get better constantly. And it was wearing him out. And he was like, yeah, I took a week or two off because I don't want to hate the game. 10 years old, by the way. Yeah. He's like, I don't want to hate the game. He's like, I don't want to go so hard that just like I wear myself out from this game. And so he just drops Melee altogether for like a week or two at a time. And then he entered a tournament again. He was like, I haven't played in like 2 weeks, probably going to be trash. And then he's like, flames reignited. He's like, I still love this game. I did better than I thought I would. All this stuff. Still loves it. Plays a bunch of other games too. He's not just like solely Melee, but he loves Melee. But in Melee, that's all you get. Like, sure, you can do the single player mode, like the arcade mode and stuff like that. But those characters are those characters, and that's all you get. And you can grind the game, and that's it. If you're going to watch content for the game, you're just watching pro players play in tournament. With Rivals 2, which I've told him about, he hasn't played it yet. He is interested. But let's say he's playing Rivals 2. He still has those same Melee mechanics. Some of them are easier. So that could draw him in. He's like, I can wave dash so much better in this. Because like he can wave dash. He just doesn't understand how to utilize wave dashing. So now, if wave dashing is easier for him in Rivals 2, that's exciting. Opens up new possibilities. The grind now feels a little different, but when he wears away from the grind, he can be like, what character do I want to download and mess around with today? Ah, yes, SpongeBob. Somebody made SpongeBob in the workshop. Let's mess around with that. Wow, this is so silly. And then when he looks it up on YouTube, what does he see? He doesn't just see pro sets of Rivals 2, like you do with Melee. You look at Melee, you're seeing pro sets or the history of Melee. Rivals 2, now he'll see the pro sets. He can watch them and study them. He says he watches he's watched a lot of Mewtwo King videos to try to learn Marth. But he's playing Falco now, so he's not really watching Mewtwo King. But now, instead of just seeing those pro players and studying those pro players, he can now be like, whoa, look at this funny video of this cube from Geometry Dash. Oh my god, that's so funny. That's a character that somebody made. And they're going against Mr. Beast? What? Falcon Marthman, future PPMD. I did tell him about PPMD. I was just like, you could... it's wild talking to this 10-year-old. I love the kid. But I told him, I was like, oh yeah, you could also like watch PPMD. PPMD plays Falco and Marth, and he's got some like pretty good videos. Like you could like, he talks about stuff like you could probably study PPMD. And he's like, PPMD? And he's like, is that Dr. Peepee? And I was like, oh my god, yes it is. That's Dr. Peepee. And then I like went into the story of how Dr. Peepee became PPMD, and he was just like, that's stupid. And I was like, yeah, I don't know why they didn't catch on. But yeah, I'm supposed to play with him today at some point. So I'll play with him. I'll play with him today. Maybe I wish Rivals was on sale. If Rivals 2 was on sale, maybe I'd just get him Rivals 2 and we'd play Rivals 2 together. Although my GameCube wasn't working last time, which is why I didn't play it. But yeah, Rivals Workshop for Rivals 2 is massive. I can't wait to see in like a week what people have like already come up with in this like beta version of the workshop, or what people have come up with now. It's been like how many hours? Someone's got something ready. I guarantee it. It's jank as hell, but it's there. And yeah, that's my news. That's my news. That's my show. K's in Hawaii. Modding scene helps a lot. It does. It engages a whole new set of people. Like when you can have some sort of modding scene. Look at Skyrim. Skyrim's a good game that has become this giant thing because of the modding community. More people have bought Skyrim because of the modding community than if that wasn't there, you know? So I can only imagine that this game continues to grow. It's already like 2026 for Rivals 2 is crazy. I think it's going to be a huge year. We've got the workshop. That's massive. It's a main stage event at EVO. Platform, it was at EVO last year as a side event. Rivals 2 is now the platform fighter at EVO as a main stage title. I love that. That's awesome. It helps me want to play the game more. It hurts me that the general public in gaming, when they hear Rivals, they only think Marvel Rivals. Yeah, and I will say, I think, at everyone calls it Rivals 2, right? But at least the game's actual title is Rivals of Aether 2. I know when they first announced it, it was just Rivals 2. They got rid of the of Aether and it was just Rivals 2. So like at least now like it's Rivals of Aether 2. Just for that like little tiny bit of extra separation from Marvel Rivals. Because it is like, yeah, when people hear, oh, I'm playing Rivals, you're playing Marvel Rivals, not Rivals of Aether. It depends on the community. Because like I have a group of friends, if I was like, I'm booting up Rivals, people would be like, oh, who do you main? And I'd be like, oh, I like Clarin. And they're like, who? I'd be like, Clarin, the one with the sword. And they'd be like, do you mean Magic? And I'd be like, no, that's a different Rivals game. I'm not playing Rivals of Aether. And they're like, oh, they just added Gambit and Rogue and Deadpool's in it now. And I'm like, no. I'm not playing that. I play platform fighters. God dang it. Uh-huh. And that's it. That's it. And now we go to Gamedel. We're doing Gamedel in the main show because I'm solo. Good on them for making that change. Yeah, I agree. Actually, you know what? Also, hold on. Yoop. I'm gonna do this. Bam. Missing in action, Golden Rose Gate. But now you're your chats will appear on screen. Oh, it's a different nope. Going back to this one. Solo. It was a whole, oh wait, no, it's this one that I want. Yeah, this one. It's still the winter theme. And now your chats will appear on top. I had a whole like solo scene from like a while back that I had created. Missing in action. Yeah. AKA in Hawaii. Oh, greetings from the bar. Kay, earlier, I don't know if you were here. I said Kay's in Hawaii, basking in sun and I assume alcohol. So hopefully you're both. It's Mai Tai heaven. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. 1 p.m. So you're 2 hours. Okay. You're 2 hours away from me. Good to know. Good to know. Yeah. Hell yeah. Mai Tai heaven. I haven't had a Mai Tai in forever. I also haven't had alcohol in forever, but topic title. I'm gonna change this. It's gonna say Gamedel now. Okay. Gamedel time. Wrong button. Dario went surfing? Hello from the future. Gamedel time. Okay, just in time for Gamedel. Cover art. Okay, is this Doom? What is this? It looks Doom-like. None of demons, though. I'll say Doom. Doom. The Dark Ages. Guess. Nope. Wrong franchise and saga. What do we got now? Man, now I don't know what I'm looking at. Neo? Neo 2. Guess. Nope. They're just giving me the whole bottom half of this, the bottom third of this. What am I looking at? Hmm. Is this like, so we have some lights down over there, another park bench, another game till kicking my tail. I mean, this one's mine too right now. Um, it's also it's harder to do game to by yourself. It almost looks like part of it. I'm like, ah, it's like some medieval stuff going on here, but then you see this like these lights. I don't know, Wasteland 3? Nope. That's a big guy. That's a big guy. Biomutant. Like Asgard's Wrath. What I got here? Mewtwo King is live. Looks so there's something about that's familiar for sure. Um, Something tells me there's gonna be like a cute little guy here for some reason. I don't know why. They're like little nightmares. 3? Yeah, there it is. Little Nightmares 3. Okay. Got it. We got it. We got there. On the 4th. All right, let's head to artwork. Whoa. That person's floating. Hmm. All right, so this person here is floating. Got some pinky purple here, green and red. Hmm. There's two things that pop into my mind, and they're very different from each other. My God, this light, huh? Which one is in my face? They're very different things. One thing I thought was, maybe it's Marvel. And then the other thing I thought was like, maybe it's Devil May Cry. Because like this pose with this like float is like superhero slash villain. Like that's a super villain pose to me. I want to do. If I type in Marvel, what do I get? It's not Rivals. It's not Marvel Snap. Avengers, Marvelverse, Capcom Clash of Superheroes, Midnight Suns. Oh, it could be Midnight Suns or Ultimate Alliance. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3? Because you could see this type of art with like, 3v3. The pink, the green, and the red is one team. That does look like it looks I'll do Ultimate vs. Capcom 3. Nope. Hmm. That's two characters over here. Feet. Excellent. I don't recognize feet. I'm not a feet person. All you have shown me is a bunch of feet. I'm curious. It says wrong franchise and saga. Do you think that means it's not Marvel vs. Capcom or it's not Marvel at all? Oh, hi. Holy crap, this cat's so cute. When did you get there? Hmm? Precious. Sorry. She's like laying in that bag there. Look at her. Adorable. All right. So I don't think it's Devil May Cry. Could it be like um oh my gosh. What is the superhero MMO? City of Heroes? Not City of Heroes. These do not look like Marvel, right? These don't look like Marvel characters. I swear I'm not looking at her butt. I'm looking at the like the back of her shirt. I'm trying to read the hmm. What are other like superhero properties? I wasn't, I promise. I promise. I wasn't looking at their feet or her butt or her feet and butt at the same time. Um, 4 average guess attempts. I'm trying to think of what other like I don't want to say like knockoff superhero franchise there are, but like if it's not Marvel, it doesn't look like DC. It's not, but like other stuff like City of Heroes, like other stuff that is a superhero game, but not like a comic IP. Hmm. It's not Infamous. Hmm. Hold on, it does say fighting and RPG. What? Is on the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 3, and Windows. So PS3 game, fighting and RPG? Hmm. Trying to think like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I have no idea. I'm gonna type it in. I know you joke. All Star Battle, but I'm gonna do it because I need more info. Yeah, just more like what appears to be look at that butt. More generic superhero with colors. We have red, white, green, and pink. Hmm. It's not invincible. If I do like a DC like oh, could it be DC Universe Online? DC Universe Online. There we go. I was close with City of Heroes. Yeah, these are the player created superheroes, and then here's the DC characters. Okay. Ooh, this. Oh, you guys got this. I know it. I know it. You guys got this one. Persona came to mind. That what that DDLC? Um, well, I have two. Not important. Yeah, I don't know characters from Persona. Persona is what came to mind. It's Doki Doki Literature Club. Okay. Well, I don't think her name's Doki Doki. Hmm. Not how you spell her name. If oh look, I found a Persona person. I'm not gonna guess it yet because you seem to be convinced it's Doki Doki Literature Club. Uh, unless you need more, then I'll guess Big Sis from Persona. Nope. Doki. Nope. Uh, Yuri. Nope. I don't know whose people's names are. God. Nope. 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 All right. Listen. What was the one that I'm gonna do? Big Sis, right? Big Sis. Guess. Does this help? Hmm. Yep. Yep. There she is. Okay. Got it. Monica. Keywords. What do we got? Dual Gold Bible. What? Dual Gold Bible. Is there like a Binding of Isaac with duels? Duel? Because it's duel like a gunfight, not like a duel like two, like dual wielding pistols. Dual Gold Bible. Duel. Duels. Um, Bible. Because like the Binding of Isaac does have gold. The dual part I just don't see in any Isaac game. Um, Gold and Bible. Could the duel just be like a fight, like a fighting game? With a biblical character and a gold character? Is this what you're doing? Are you dueling golden Bibles? Uh, could it be Blaze Blue? Uh, Skullgirls. Why do those games come into my mind? DNF. Actually, right? I'm just gonna type in the word duel. They only have Yu-Gi-Oh! Could it be Yu-Gi-Oh? It's not Yu-Gi-Oh! Chase Outlaw Bandits. Okay. Some sort of Western? Outlaws and Bandits. Red Steel. Like Red Dead Redemption is obvious, like like that obviously comes to mind because it's a Western, potentially. um Gold and Bible. When it says chase, obviously I'm thinking like chasing outlaws and bandits on horseback. I can't wait for the next hint to be horseback or horse riding or just horse. It's gonna be something about horses. Um, Truly not sure. Red Dead Revolver. Guess. Wrong franchise. Revenge Sheriff Brothers. It was on PC. And it is a shooter. Brothers. Revenge. Hmm. Outlaws and bandits with a sheriff and brothers. West of Dead and West of Loathing or Evil West. Weird West. I don't believe it's Horizon Forbidden West, and I don't believe it's Enslaved Odyssey to the West. The part of Hawaii we're in is almost one of one Yakuza Infinite Wealth. Hell yeah. You should start doing Yakuza things in those locations. Mm-hmm. Like running a business. You should run a business. I'm going to do West of Dead or West of Loathing or Evil West or Weird West. God damn. I'm going to do West of Loathing. There's Horseback. There it is. Gunslinger and Redemption. I did Red Dead Revolver and it said wrong franchise and saga. So surely that would include Red Dead Redemption. West of Dead. Guess. Nope. Cover system, Family Feud, Wild West. Yeah, I got the Wild West. I'm considering taking pictures so I can go back and take pictures in game and compare. It's very easy to take pictures. So you could do that, yeah. You could absolutely do that because, like, yeah, you have your phone with the camera on it, and like you could definitely just take 3 seconds to take a picture to get that done. West, Weird West. Nope. There's the cover. I'm gonna know what this game is. Linear story, Mexico border, train robbery, wanted posters, a violent preacher, slow motion shooting, starts with the letter C. Family Feud. Starts with the letter C. C. All right. Oh my God, is it Call of Duty? Call of Juarez. But which one? But which Call of Juarez? I'm convinced it's that. I'm not looking anymore. Which Call of Juarez? It doesn't say it's a sequel. It doesn't say it's a sequel. I'm going to guess it's the first Call of Juarez. Call of Juarez. Guess. Yes. We did it. We know this game. Look it. There's the church. That's the Bible stuff. Wow, look how good this game looks. Wow. Time to guess. All right, what did I talk about today? Talked about how High Guard has been nowhere to be seen in the last 4 weeks, and it's out in less than 2 weeks. Talked about Rivals of Aether, because now it has Steam Workshop. Talked about The Witcher. A lot of games on the New Game Plus showcase. Steam Machine, that's not a game. I played Ball Pit. Undo Ball Pit. All right. Great start. Great start. Great start. Okay, so it's basically anything. It's basically any game still. Not a survival. Not a survival game. So it is an action game. It has single player from before 2025. Could be a shooter. Just me, yeah, no, because like if you're only 2 hours behind me, it means it'll only take me 2 hours to get to you. Right? So I could just take like a quick trip to Hawaii, come back for the morning, and just go back to work tomorrow. I would love to go to Hawaii sometime. I like places that are hot. And Hawaii is hot. I don't know what I'm doing at all in life. What's another game? What's another video game? Um, Action. I'm gonna do potentially a shooter. It was on video game consoles, or not, or PC. Um, it still seems semi new. So actually, it doesn't have to be. It could have just been PC from 1998. So let's do like Time Splitters. Oh wait, yeah, it's not isometric or bird view. Good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's do first person shooter, action shooter. It's gonna be. It's not survival. Could be indie or arcade or roguelike. We're gonna do Oh, it needs multiplayer though. I was thinking. Give me a co-op shooter. Army of Two. uh, was that on PC? I want something more recent. I'm going to do Doom: The Dark Ages again. Okay, it is a shooter. That was 2025. Oh my god, that's not the one I wanted. I wanted Doom Eternal. Because Doom Eternal also has multiplayer, doesn't it? That's, oh my god, I confused the two. All right, first person and more. Let's get rid of action. All right, so it is fantasy or sci-fi or horror. Okay. Uh, fantasy, sci-fi, or horror. It is strictly a shooter. First person and third person, seemingly. The genres include like battle royale or anything. Hack and slash, beat 'em up, MOBA, platform point and click, RPG shooter, strategy, tactical, turn based. Strategy and tactical would be like, I assume, like Counter-Strike. Maybe it's like PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. It's okay. Well, it's not called that anymore. It's called PUBG Battlegrounds, which is the dumbest name change. Oh, okay. So I'm guessing it is an Xbox Microsoft game. It was not on Windows or the Xbox One or the PlayStation 4. Not on, nope, nope. I don't think it's Splatoon. Don't think it's Splatoon. Um, because Bluehole and PUBG Corp go together. That's like the PUBG people. So I'm thinking it's Xbox. But so down here it was this. It's just confusing to me that it's before 2017, was not on the Xbox One, but potentially in the Xbox Series X, unless it wasn't on any of these and it's been ported to like the PS5. No, it's earlier than 2017. It's not on PS5. So maybe ported to the Xbox Series X as an older game. It'd be crazy if it's Bluehole or PUBG Corp. And it's not PUBG. Um, this also doesn't show single player. So forgot about that part. That PUBG is not a single player game. I don't know. Is it a Halo? Is it just a Halo game? Because it could be any Halo. Hi, Cat. You jumping up here? You're gonna bug me? Hi. Because it could be all Halos are on PC. Are they though? I don't think they are. Halo Reach is not on PC. I don't... Oh, yeah, Halo Reach isn't on PC. One, two, and three. They're the Master Chief Collection, right? ODST. Steam would be PC. I might try Halo Reach. Or also Halo 4, I don't think is on PC. I'm just gonna do Halo Reach. Yes, not Halo Reach. What? I can't tell if this yellow arrow down is faded just because that's the way it looks on the yellow background. Oh, my cat is stepping all over the keyboard. Hello. If it's faded looking like this because that's just what it looks like on the yellow background, or if it's like, oh, you're close, it's dark because I was like farther away and now it's like, oh, I'm closer, so it's faded a little bit. Halo Reach was in the BLAM engine. Okay, it is a sci-fi. We know it's not warfare. So it is a sci-fi shooter from Xbox. Is it Perfect Dark? What's the second Perfect Dark called? The one that was on Xbox 360? Oh my god, Halo Reach was on PC. I'm a fraud. Perfect Dark Zero. Is it Perfect Dark Zero? The Alien game? The game with the aliens? Made published by Xbox though? Is Colonial Marines published by Xbox? I feel like Colonial Marines was probably on Sony consoles also. No? I'm doing Perfect Dark Zero. Perfect Dark Zero. Fun fact. This was the first Perfect Dark game I played. Played this before I played any of the original Perfect Dark. God, she does not look great there. And I thought this game was kind of cool. I liked the little briefcase turret gun. Man, remember when they were making a new Perfect Dark and then said, never mind? Like, they were so confident in it, they announced it and everything. What a fumble. Don't bite me, cat. I'm just gonna grab this mouse. Ashley is here. Well, there we go. I played a decent amount of that game. I don't know if I can say so much, but I definitely played a decent amount of this game. And thought it had some ideas. Oh, it's the Havoc physics engine, just like Halo 2. That's probably why I liked it so much. Yeah. Okay, all done. I'm gonna stop the show. And then probably stop streaming. And do some other stuff. Both perfect. Yeah, I agree. Actually, I forgot that it had bot matches, but that is how I did the multiplayer stuff in that game. Was strictly just bot matches. Thank you for holding down the fort. I'm trying. Let me see. Is there someone to raid with the two of you that I want to, that I care to? I never do. Never do. No one deserves it, you know? Also, I just don't feel like that I have enough of you here to raid anyone, you know? I want to make an impact when I raid. Doesn't look like anyone's streaming in Domo server. See you in March is crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna end stream here. Yeah, this is in the park bench. I don't know. I'll be back more this year, probably, hopefully. But I'm gonna do stuff to either improve stream stuff or improve my job possibilities right now. Goodbye.